My brother looked at me across that freezing conference room in Charlotte and said the words I'll never forget. "See you in court." The rain hammered the windows. November in North Carolina. Cold, gray, dead. I stared at the document my lawyer David had just pushed across the table. A settlement offer. One last chance to avoid destroying what was left of our family. Michael sat across from me with that white bandage wrapped around his head. 6 months he'd been wearing it. 6 months of excuses about some car accident that never quite made sense. His girlfriend Morgan leaned forward, whispered something in his ear. Her black hair fell across her face. I couldn't see her expression. Didn't need to. I knew what she was telling him. The same thing she'd been telling him for 2 years. No. David tried one more time. "This is your last chance, Michael. Honor your father's promise. Buy your sister the house you agreed to. We can settle this right now." Michael pushed the paper back. "See you in court." What I didn't know in that moment, the truth was so much worse than a broken promise. Before I tell you this story, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. And tell me in the comments, have you ever trusted someone in your family who turned out to be using you? At what point did you realize it? Because recognition is the first step to protection. This community is here to support each other. What happened in that North Carolina courtroom is going to change how you think about family forever. This is the story of how a stranger destroyed everything we built, how my brother became someone I didn't recognize, and how a handwritten note on a piece of notebook paper became the only thing standing between justice and devastation. That meeting was 3 weeks ago. Now I'm standing outside Mecklenburg County Courthouse, trying not to throw up. My kids are with Mom. Emma's 15. Jake's 12. They asked me this morning, "Mom, are we going to have a home?" What do you say to that? I've worked at Lincoln Elementary School's cafeteria for 18 years. $31,000 a year. I saved. I budgeted. After my divorce 3 years ago, I moved back into my father's house with the kids. Temporary, I told myself. Just until I got back on my feet. Dad welcomed us. "That's what family does," he said. Dad died 8 months ago. Massive stroke. The doctors said it happened fast. But I know what really killed him. The stress, the fighting, the fear. Michael did that. Michael and that woman. Her name was Morgan Chase, 44 years old. She'd arrived in Charlotte 2 years earlier with my brother, claiming to be a spiritual healer, an energy worker. Neighbors whispered other words. Witch, manipulator, con artist. I need to back up. Let me tell you how this started. How the brother I grew up with became someone I don't recognize. Because 2 years ago, Michael was different. Before her, the Patterson house sat on half an acre in eastern Mecklenburg County, just outside Charlotte city limits, 2,200 square feet, 4 bedrooms. Built in 1984. My parents Alexander and Barbara raised 3 children there. Michael, me, and our younger sister Lisa. It was a good house. Not fancy, but solid. Vinyl siding needed replacing. Roof had another 5 years. The oak tree in the front yard was older than all of us. That Sunday, Dad looked up from the sports section. "Your brother's coming today." I nearly dropped the spatula. Michael, from Richmond, called last night. He and his girlfriend need a place to stay for a while. Michael was 45. My older brother by 3 years. He'd moved to Richmond, Virginia 15 years ago. Married a woman named Diane. Had 2 sons. Then the marriage fell apart. Diane got the house, the kids, everything. That's when Morgan appeared. I hadn't seen Michael in over a year, but Dad seemed happy. It'll be nice having him around. Family should stick together. The house was big enough. I had the back bedroom with the kids. Mom and Dad had the master. 2 spare rooms upstairs were empty. What could go wrong? Michael arrived that afternoon in a silver Honda Civic with Virginia plates. Morgan sat in the passenger seat, smoking a cigarette. She was tall, thin, long black hair past her shoulders. Dressed in layers of dark clothing despite the summer heat, Mom came out to greet them, hugged Michael, extended her hand to Morgan. Morgan didn't take it. "I don't do handshakes," she said. "Transfers energy." Mom's smile froze. That first dinner was awkward. Morgan barely ate, just pushed food around her plate, staring at people, staring at Dad mostly. "So what do you do, Morgan?" Mom asked, trying to be polite. "I help people. Spiritual guidance, energy healing. I remove negative forces." Jake, my 12-year-old, whispered, "What does that mean?" Michael jumped in. "She's really good at it. People paid her good money." Dad cleared his throat. "Well, everyone needs to make a living." Michael helped around the house those first weeks, fixed the garbage disposal, mowed the lawn. He and Dad would sit on the porch in the evenings, drinking beer, talking about old times. Morgan stayed upstairs mostly, but at night, she'd take walks. 1 in the morning, Mom would see her from the window, walking the property line, muttering to herself. Then one Saturday, Dad called me into his office, closed the door. Michael came to me with a proposal. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. Dad had been thinking about his estate. He was 70 years old. Mom was 69. The house was paid off. Mortgage burned in 2018. He wanted to make sure his children were taken care of. Michael's pitch was simple. Sign the house over to him now. Avoid probate later. In return, Michael would buy me a new house. Brand new construction. Bigger than the current house. Better school district for the kids. He'd even written it down. A handwritten note on lined paper. Dad showed me the paper. I read it twice. I, Michael Safran, born 1980, promise my sister Jennifer Patterson, born 1983, to purchase a house for her if our father Alexander Patterson transfers the family home to me. This is my legal promise. Signed, dated, witnessed by Morgan. What do you think? Dad asked. My mind raced. A new house. I could give the kids their own rooms, better schools, a fresh start. But something felt wrong. Why does it have to be you? I asked. Why not split it 3 ways? You, me, Lisa. Dad shifted in his chair. Michael says it's cleaner this way. Less legal fees. And he's got the money saved up. He does. That's what he says. I looked at the paper again. If he's going to buy me a house anyway, why does he need this one? Dad didn't have an answer. Against my instincts, I agreed. Michael was family. The note was in writing. Dad wanted to help all his children. 2 weeks later, Dad signed a gift deed transferring the house and land to Michael. The deed was recorded at the county office. Legal, binding, done. Michael threw a small party that weekend. Steaks on the grill, beer in the cooler. To family, he toasted. Everyone drank. Nobody noticed Morgan watching from the upstairs window smiling. That was August 23rd, 2 years ago. By September, everything changed. The first sign was subtle. Michael started asking about my schedule. When did I work? What time did the kids get home? Then the locks. I came home from work on a Tuesday. Key wouldn't turn. I thought I had the wrong key. Tried again. Nothing. I knocked. Michael opened the door. Didn't move aside. What's going on? I asked. New locks. For security. Okay. Can I have a key? He handed me one key. Just one. Don't lose it. Over the next 2 weeks, the atmosphere in the house shifted. Morgan stopped staying upstairs. She'd sit in the living room when I got home, watching TV. She'd moved into the master bedroom with Michael. Mom had been moved to the smallest bedroom. 10 by 10, room for a bed and dresser. Nothing else. Mom came to me crying. He took my television. Morgan said it was using too much electricity. Did you tell Dad? Your father's not himself. He barely talks anymore. Just sits in that little room. Dad had aged 10 years in a month. His hands shook. He forgot things. Simple things. What day it was. Whether he'd eaten breakfast. Mom blamed the stress. The change in routine. I suspected something darker. I noticed Michael always had that bandage on his head. White gauze wrapped around his forehead, covering his right temple. What happened? I asked him. Car accident. Minor. Don't worry about it. But the bandage never came off. Just got changed. Fresh white gauze every few days. Then came the eviction. October 12th. I'll never forget it. I came home from work. All our stuff was on the lawn. Emma's clothes, Jake's books, my furniture. Everything in trash bags and boxes piled by the curb. The locks were changed again. Michael stood on the porch, arms crossed. Morgan behind him, smoking. I ran up the steps. What are you doing? This is my house now. I need you to leave. Leave? We live here. Not anymore. You need to find your own place. My vision blurred. You can't just kick us out. You never gave me any notice. Nothing. You can't just. I can. It's my property. Check the deed. I looked past him. Saw Dad in the window. Small. Old. Scared. Dad, I shouted. Dad, help me. He looked away. Michael stepped forward. Lowered his voice. The new house I'm buying you. That's still happening. But you need to give me time. I've got financial things to arrange. Just find a short-term rental. A few months. With what money? I barely have enough for. That's not my problem. Mom came outside. She'd been crying. Michael, please. Let them stay a few more weeks. Mom, this doesn't concern you. I'm your mother. These are your niece and nephew you're putting on the street. Morgan flicked her cigarette onto the lawn. Maybe if Jennifer had been more respectful, this wouldn't be happening. I turned on her. Respectful. I let you into my family's home. I welcomed you. And this is what you do. Morgan smiled. Slow. Cold. Your family's home. Check the deed, sweetheart. I grabbed my phone. Called Lisa, my younger sister. She lived 40 minutes away in Concord. Small apartment. 2 kids of her own. Can we stay with you? I asked. Long pause. Jen, I don't have room. I'm sorry. Even for a few nights. Michael called me last week. Told me not to help you. Said you're trying to scam the family. What? Lisa, that's insane. I would never. I don't know what to believe anymore. Click. I stood there on the lawn with my kids, my mother, our entire life in garbage bags. My neighbor Irene came out. Sweet woman. 70s. Lived there for 32 years. You can put your things in my garage, she said. And I've got a shed out back. It's not much, but it has electricity. The shed was 12 by 16. Plywood walls. Concrete floor. 1 space heater. No bathroom. No running water. My children and I moved in that night. For 3 weeks, we lived in that shed. I'd take the kids to school early so they could use the bathrooms there. I'd shower at the YMCA. At night, we'd huddle under blankets, the space heater barely keeping the November cold at bay. I kept asking Michael about the new house. Soon, he'd say, I'm working on it. Then Irene handed me a document. She'd gotten it from her mailbox by mistake. The mail carrier mixed up addresses sometimes. It was from a real estate attorney's office, addressed to Michael. I shouldn't have opened it. I know that. But I did. Inside was a draft gift deed. Michael transferring the family home to Morgan Chase. Not selling. Gifting. No money changing hands. Just signing over the entire property to his girlfriend. A woman we'd known for 4 months. Dated for December 15th. 6 weeks away. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. He wasn't buying me a house. He was giving our house to her. I confronted him the next day. Marched up to the front door, document in hand. Michael answered. The bandage on his head was fresh. Stark white. What's this? I shoved the paper at him. He barely glanced at it. How did you get this? Answer the question. It's none of your business. You're giving her the house Mom and Dad built, the house we grew up in. His face didn't change. No guilt, no emotion, just blank. Morgan's been very good to me. She deserves security. What about your promise? What about my house? I never promised anything. I wanted to scream. You wrote it down. You signed a paper. What paper? My blood went cold. The note, the promise you made to Dad. To buy me a house. Michael tilted his head, looked genuinely confused. I don't remember any note. You're lying. Am I? Prove it. I ran back to the shed. Tore through boxes. I'd kept important papers in a folder. Birth certificates, divorce decree, and that note. The folder was there. The note wasn't. I sat on that cold concrete floor, folder open, papers scattered. Someone had stolen it. But who? I hired an attorney. David Cho, family law. Worked out of a small office on Independence Boulevard. First consultation free. Do you have any proof of this promise? David asked. I had a handwritten note. It's gone. Who witnessed it? Morgan, but she's not going to admit that. David leaned back. Let me be straight with you. In North Carolina, verbal promises about real estate aren't enforceable. It has to be in writing. Your father signed a legal gift deed. That deed is valid unless we can prove fraud, undue influence, or incapacity. My father wasn't in his right mind when he signed. Can you prove that? I thought about it. Dad's confusion, his memory problems. They started right after Michael moved in. But we never got him evaluated. Never took him to a doctor for cognitive testing. What are my options? I asked. David's answer was sobering. We could file a lawsuit to invalidate the gift deed, but it would be expensive. $60,000 to $80,000 in legal fees. Complex estate dispute with elder abuse allegations, fraud, multiple witnesses, lab testing. It adds up fast. Maybe more if it went to trial. I made $31,000 a year. I'll work out payment arrangements, David said. But I need a retainer to start. $10,000. I didn't have $10,000. I didn't have $1,000. I don't have that kind of money, I said. David nodded slowly. There are options. Legal aid organizations. Contingency arrangements. If your case is as strong as it sounds, we'll find a way. Let me make some calls. I left his office feeling hopeless. Drove back to the shed. Sat in my car in Irene's driveway. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Jennifer Patterson. Yes? This is Detective Sarah Mills, Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. I need to ask you some questions about a break-in. There had been a burglary at the family home. Someone had broken in through the back window while Michael and Morgan were out. Cash taken. Jewelry. Electronics. Why are you calling me? I asked. Your brother filed a police report. He said you have a key to the house. He's suggesting you might be involved. I almost dropped the phone. He's accusing me of robbing his house. Are you? No, I've been living in a shed because he kicked me out. The detective took my statement, verified my alibi. I'd been at work during the break-in. Dozens of witnesses. But the accusation did its damage. Now I had a police report with my name in it. Michael could claim I was unstable, vindictive, a thief. That's when I knew. He wasn't just taking the house. He was destroying me. I sat in that shed with my kids that night. No heat. November rain pounding on the tin roof. Emma asked, "Mom, why is Uncle Michael doing this to us?" I didn't have an answer. That Mom called at 2 in the morning. "Your father's in the hospital." I grabbed my keys, drove to Carolina's medical center, found Mom in the waiting room. She looked like she'd aged 20 years. "What happened?" "Stroke. Massive. They don't think he's going to make it." Ted died 3 hours later. November 28th. Never regained consciousness. The funeral was 5 days later. Small service. Michael sat in the front row with Morgan. Mom sat with me and the kids. Lisa didn't come. Sent flowers instead. After the burial, Mom pulled me aside. "We need to talk. About your father." We went to a diner. Mom ordered coffee. Didn't touch it. "The stroke wasn't natural," she said. "What do you mean?" Mom had been watching, keeping notes. She'd seen things that didn't make sense. Michael's behavior, his memory problems, that bandage on his head, Morgan giving him drinks, special teas, smoothies, and every time Michael drank them, he'd get confused, disoriented. "Are you saying she was drugging him?" I asked. "I'm saying something was wrong. Your father saw it too. 2 weeks before he died, he tried to tell me something. He said Michael wasn't himself. That woman had gotten inside his head." Mom had more. The night before Dad's stroke, she'd heard yelling. Michael and Dad arguing in the office. Then a crash, a loud thud. She'd found Dad on the floor, Michael standing over him, Morgan in the doorway. "He fell," Michael said. "Just lost his balance." But Mom saw the fear in Dad's eyes. "Why didn't you call 911? I asked. Mom started crying. Morgan said if I called anyone, she'd make sure I lost the house too. That I'd end up in a nursing home. "So you did nothing?" "I was scared, Jennifer. I'm still scared." Mom wasn't done. She reached into her purse, pulled out a small glass vial, half full of clear liquid. "I found this in Morgan's room, in a drawer with other bottles. Herbs, powders, things I don't recognize." "Have you had it tested?" "I'm afraid to. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm just a paranoid old woman?" I took the vial. "You're not wrong, Mom." I took the vial to David. He sent it to a private lab. Results came back in 3 days. The liquid contained scopolamine, a powerful drug that causes confusion, memory loss, and suggestibility. Prescription only in the United States, but available on black market websites. Used by criminals for robbery and assault. Called devil's breath on the streets. I sat in David's office staring at the lab report. "This is how she controlled him," I said. "This is how she got Dad to sign the deed. Got Michael to do whatever she wanted." David nodded slowly. "This changes everything. We file the lawsuit. Tomorrow." The lawsuit alleged fraud, undue influence, and exploitation of a vulnerable adult. It demanded the gift deed be declared void, that the property return to Dad's estate to be divided among his heirs. Michael and Morgan were served papers on December 10, 2022, 5 days before Morgan was supposed to receive the house. Michael called me that night, first time he'd called in months. "You're going to regret this." Voice cold, empty. "Is that a threat?" "It's a fact. You can't win. You don't have proof." "I have the drug. I have witnesses. I have Mom." Silence. Then, "Mom won't testify. She's too scared." "We'll see." But Michael was right about one thing. Mom was terrified. She'd agreed to give a statement to the attorney, but testifying in open court was different. "What if they come after me?" she asked. "Who? Michael?" Morgan. Both of them. You don't know what she's capable of. I needed more. More proof. More witnesses. Something that would make the case airtight. That's when Irene came forward. For 8 months, we were in discovery. That's the phase where both sides trade every relevant document. Bank statements, medical records, emails, photos. My lawyer took depositions. Those are recorded interviews under oath where Michael's attorney could ask me anything. 4 hours of questions about every conversation I'd had with Dad, every penny I'd ever borrowed or lent, every decision I'd ever made. Their lawyer deposed Mom, deposed our neighbors, even deposed Emma and Jake, my kids. That was the hardest part, watching them get interrogated about their uncle. In September of 2023, we tried mediation. Court ordered. We sat in a conference room for 6 hours while a mediator tried to get us to settle. Michael's lawyer offered me $20,000 to drop the case. $20,000 for a $380,000 property. I walked out. Mecklenburg County Courthouse. Courtroom 5C, January 14, 2024. Judge Patricia Reynolds presiding. 62 years old. 20 years on the bench. Known for being fair but tough. Jennifer Patterson versus Michael Safran. Civil case number 2024-CV-8843. I sat with David. Michael sat with his attorney, Julia Martinez. Morgan sat in the gallery, wearing all black. Mom sat in the back row, hands clasped, praying. The bailiff announced the judge. We all stood. Judge Reynolds took her seat, looked over the courtroom. Her eyes stopped on Michael's bandage. Mr. Safran, what's the bandage for? Michael straightened. Car accident, Your Honor. Minor injury. How long ago? 6 months. You've been wearing a bandage for 6 months from a minor car accident. Silence. We'll come back to that. Let's proceed. David presented the case, the gift deed signed by Dad, the handwritten promise Michael made, the suspicious circumstances of Dad's death, the scopolamine found in Morgan's possession. Michael's attorney objected repeatedly. Hearsay, Your Honor. Speculation. No direct evidence linking my client to any wrongdoing. Judge Reynolds sustained most objections but allowed the testimony to continue. Then it was my turn to testify. I walked to the stand, put my hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth. David stood. Miss Patterson, can you describe what you gave to your brother over the years? I took a breath. I paid for his first wedding. $7,000 because he and Diane couldn't afford it. When his sons were born, I drove to Richmond every weekend for 2 years to help with the babies. When his marriage fell apart, I was the one he called at 2 in the morning, crying. I listened. I supported him. When he moved back with Morgan, I welcomed them. Gave up my space, shared my home with them, even though something felt wrong from day one. I worked 18 years in that cafeteria. $31,000 a year. Saved every penny I could, and I would have given it all to him if he'd just asked. If he'd been honest. But he didn't ask. He stole. And that's the difference. My testimony lasted 40 minutes. I described my childhood with Michael. Our close relationship. How he changed after Morgan arrived. The eviction. Living in the shed. Dad's decline. Michael's attorney cross-examined. Miss Patterson, isn't it true you owed your father money? No. Didn't you ask him to co-sign a loan for you 3 years ago? I asked. He declined. I didn't push it. Isn't it true you were angry when your father gave the house to your brother instead of you? I looked directly at Michael. I was angry when my brother betrayed his promise. Yes. They brought up the burglary. Tried to make it seem like I was vengeful. Unstable. David objected. Relevance, Your Honor. Miss Patterson was cleared of any involvement. Sustained. Move on, counselor. Next witness was Mom. She took the stand slowly. Her hands shook as she was sworn in. David approached gently. "Mrs. Patterson, can you tell the court about your late husband's mental state in the weeks before he signed the gift deed?" Mom's voice was barely a whisper. He wasn't himself. Confused. Forgetful. "Did you observe anything that might explain this confusion?" Mom looked at Morgan in the gallery. Morgan stared back, expression blank. "I saw that woman giving him drinks. Specialties. After he drank them, he couldn't think straight." Objection. Michael's attorney stood. "The witness is speculating about the contents of beverages she didn't test or verify." "Your Honor," David said, "we have lab results showing scopolamine found in the defendant's residence." Judge Reynolds leaned forward. "I'll allow the testimony. But, Counselor, you'd better connect these dots." Mom was crying now, trying to hold it together. David asked her about Dad's death, about the argument the night before the stroke. "Did you hear what they were arguing about?" "Michael wanted him to sign more papers. My husband refused, said he'd made a mistake, that he wanted the house back." Michael shifted in his seat, whispered something to his attorney. Mom continued. "I heard a crash. Went to check. Found my husband on the floor. Michael standing over him. That woman in the doorway. Did you call for medical help? She said if I did, I'd lose everything. I'd end up in a home. I was afraid." The courtroom was silent. Judge Reynolds made a note. "Continue." The final witness changed everything. Irene Walker took the stand. 74. Sharp as a tack. 32 years in the neighborhood. She'd seen it all. David started simple. "Mrs. Walker, what's your relationship to the parties involved?" "I'm Jennifer's neighbor. Known the Patterson family since they moved in. Watched those kids grow up." "Have you observed anything unusual in the past 2 years?" Irene sat up straighter. "You want unusual? I'll give you unusual." Irene described seeing Morgan late at night in the backyard. Burning things. Candles arranged in circles. Muttering words Irene couldn't make out. "I thought maybe it was some kind of meditation," Irene said. "Wasn't my business. Then I saw what she was burning." David handed her a photograph. "Do you recognize this?" "That's the photo I took. 2 in the morning, last October. She's burning what looks like clothing. Men's clothing. And there's something wrapped in cloth. Looked like raw meat." Michael's attorney objected. "Your Honor, this is absurd. We're wasting the court's time with ghost stories." Judge Reynolds looked at the photograph. "I'll allow it. Continue." Irene wasn't done. "After one of these rituals, I saw her go to Michael. Saw her give him something to drink. He didn't want it. She grabbed his head, forced it into his mouth. Could you see what she gave him? A small bottle, like a medicine bottle. After he drank it, he stumbled. She and someone else had to help him inside. Someone else. His sister, Lisa." Gasps in the courtroom. I turned. Lisa was sitting in the back row. She'd shown up after all. Lisa's face was white. "My own sister." Judge Reynolds called for order. "Mrs. Walker, you're saying Lisa Saffron was present during this incident?" "Yes, Your Honor. I saw her help carry Michael into the house after Morgan gave him that drink." David pulled out another piece of evidence. "Your Honor, I'd like to call Lisa Saffron as a witness." Lisa stood, walked slowly to the front. Looked like she might faint. She was sworn in. Lisa was 48 years old, youngest of the 3 siblings. She hadn't spoken to me in over a year. David approached carefully. "Miss Saffron, what is your relationship to the defendant?" "He's my brother." "And to the plaintiff?" Lisa's voice cracked. "My sister was my sister. Can you tell the court why you're here today?" Lisa looked at me, tears streaming down her face. To tell the truth. Finally. Lisa's testimony was devastating. Morgan had approached her 6 months ago, offered her money, $15,000. All Lisa had to do was steal the handwritten promise from my belongings. I was desperate, Lisa said. My daughter has leukemia. The medical bills were destroying us. I needed money for treatment. So you agreed to steal the document? Yes, Morgan told me where Jennifer kept it. I went to the shed one day when she was at work, took it, gave it to Morgan. What did Morgan do with it? Burned it, right in front of me. I closed my eyes. The proof, the only written evidence, gone. But Lisa wasn't finished. Morgan told me she needed one more thing. She needed me to help her keep Michael under control. He was starting to remember things, starting to question what was happening. How did she keep him under control? Lisa pulled something from her purse, a small bottle, half empty. With this, she called it medicine, said it would help Michael's headaches, made me give it to him twice. After he drank it, he couldn't think straight, couldn't remember things. David took the bottle. Your Honor, I'd like to enter this as evidence and request immediate testing. Judge Reynolds nodded. Granted. Miss Safran, why are you coming forward now? Lisa looked at Morgan. My daughter died 3 weeks ago. The money didn't save her, and I realized what I'd become, what she turned me into. The courtroom was dead silent. Lisa turned to me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. Michael stood up. This is all lies. She's making this up. Judge Reynolds slammed her gavel. Mr. Safran, sit down or I'll hold you in contempt. Michael's attorney pulled him back to his seat. The judge turned to Morgan in the gallery. Miss Chase, I'm going to ask you to come forward. Morgan didn't move. Miss Chase, now. Slowly, Morgan stood, walked to the front. Her expression was calm. Too calm. She was sworn in. Morgan sat in the witness box like she owned it. Calm, controlled. David approached. Miss Chase, do you deny providing scopolamine to Michael Safran? I don't answer questions based on false premises. That's not an answer. I'm a spiritual healer. I provide herbs, teas, natural remedies. What people choose to call them is their business. Judge Reynolds intervened. Miss Chase, this is a court of law. You will answer the question directly. Did you or did you not give Michael Safran a substance containing scopolamine? Morgan smiled. I gave him what he needed. To clear his mind. To remove negative influences. That's a yes. Call it what you want. She wasn't even trying to deny it. Just sitting there, smug, like she was untouchable. Then Michael stood up again. Stop. Michael's voice was quiet but clear. Everyone turned. He reached up, slowly unwrapped the bandage from his head. Underneath was a scar, jagged, deep, across his right temple. She did this, Michael said. When I tried to stop taking the drinks. When I said I wanted to give the house back to Dad. She hit me with a metal pipe. Told me if I ever crossed her again, she'd kill me. The courtroom exploded. People shouting. Judge Reynolds slamming her gavel. Michael was crying now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't even remember half of it. The things I did. What I said to you. It wasn't me. I swear it wasn't me. Morgan stood. Tried to leave. Judge Reynolds held up her hand. Miss Chase, sit down. We're not finished here. Morgan remained standing. Started toward the exit. Bailiff, Miss Chase is not to leave this courtroom until I've completed my ruling and contacted the appropriate authorities. The bailiff moved to block the door. Morgan stopped. Turned. Sat. Judge Reynolds picked up her phone. Called the district attorney's office. 3-minute conversation while the courtroom sat in silence. She hung up. Miss Chase, I've referred this matter to the DA's office for criminal investigation. They'll be in touch. You're free to go. For now. Morgan looked directly at Michael. "You weak, pathetic fool." Then she looked at the judge. "You can't prove anything. None of you can." Judge Reynolds smiled, cold. "We'll let the police sort that out." The last thing Morgan said as she left the courtroom: "This isn't over." Judge Reynolds took a 15-minute recess. When she returned, her decision was swift. "I find sufficient evidence of fraud and undue influence. Greed wears many disguises. Sometimes it looks like love, sometimes like concern. But the law sees through disguises. The gift deed signed by Alexander Patterson is hereby declared void. The property returns to Mr. Patterson's estate, to be distributed according to intestate succession laws." She turned to Michael and me. "You two need to figure out how to divide this property. Sell it, split it, whatever. But I strongly suggest you use some of that money to get your brother proper medical treatment and therapy. And Miss Patterson, I suggest you do the same for yourself." She gavelled. Court adjourned. We'd won, but it didn't feel like winning. 6 months after the trial, I stood in front of a new house. Not brand new construction, but new to me. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, in a quiet neighborhood in eastern Charlotte. The family home had sold for $375,000. Split 3 ways between Michael, me, and Lisa. My share was $125,000. Legal fees ate $68,000. Every penny I'd scraped together over 18 months of fighting. What remained was $57,000. Not enough to buy a house outright, but enough for a down payment. Combined with a small settlement from my divorce and a loan from my credit union, I made it work. Emma has her own room now. Jake has his. We have a backyard. A normal life. Mom lives with me. She has the master bedroom. We take care of each other. Michael's in therapy. Twice a week. The scopolamine did real damage. His memory's getting better, but he'll never be the same. He writes me letters sometimes, apologizing, explaining, trying to make sense of what happened. I write back, "We're not close. Maybe we never will be, but we're trying." Lisa and I talk once a month. She's in therapy too, working through the guilt. I've forgiven her. Mostly. It's a process. 2 weeks after the trial, Morgan was arrested, charged with elder abuse, fraud, assault with a deadly weapon, and illegal possession of a controlled substance. She posted bail. $50,000. Trial is set for next year. I don't think about her much anymore. Don't give her that power. People ask me if it was worth it. The lawsuit, the money, the stress. I don't know how to answer that. We lost Dad. We lost 2 years of our lives. We lost the house where we grew up, the family we used to be. But we're still standing, still together, still fighting. On Sunday mornings, I make breakfast for my kids and my mom. Pancakes, bacon, coffee. Sometimes I look out the window at my small backyard and remember the big oak tree at the old house, the one older than all of us. It's gone now. New owners cut it down, but I've planted a new tree here, smaller, just starting. Give it 20 years, it'll be something. That's what I tell my kids. You can't change the past. You can't undo what was done to you. But you can plant something new. Start over. Grow. I learned 3 things from this ordeal. 1. Family isn't just blood. It's who shows up, who fights for you, who tells the truth even when it costs them. 2. Evil doesn't always look like evil. Sometimes it looks like someone offering help, someone promising solutions, someone who seems to care. 3. Some people will take everything you have and still say you owe them more. That's not family. That's exploitation. Justice has a price, but so does staying silent. Was it worth it? Ask me in 20 years, when that tree is grown, when my kids have kids, when this nightmare is just a story we tell about surviving? Then I'll have an answer. I turned from the window, went back to the kitchen. Emma was setting the table. Jake was laughing at something on his phone. Mom was humming an old song. This is home now. Not perfect, not what we planned, but ours. If you've been through something like this, if someone's manipulated your family, stolen from you, betrayed you, I want you to know you're not alone. Tell your story in the comments. Have you ever had someone in your family manipulate or exploit you? How did you recognize it? How did you fight back? Share your story below. This community is here to support each other.